Okay. Okay. So, seventh session, I think, yes, seventh session of the second phase for the website project. Okay, today the idea is to try to talk about some things for the beta version. I write here in the meeting minutes document. I don't know if you think that we need to talk something more, anything else. This is the two main topics that comes to my mind. First of all, is to try to set the specifics for the graphic image, so Jonathan can keep working on it and can finish a branding book for CivicWise, in which we can find everything for the graphic image. So to discuss a little bit about this, now that we can see it in the website and try to fix the specification so he can work on it. And then I wrote down here, I called it minor issues, is some things, minor things that people was saying these days, giving us feedback on different channels, and I was writing down all of them so we can discuss them a little bit. So regarding that, Jonathan is not here. Maybe we can start with minor issues.
Okay.
So first of all, Nasia was saying that maybe all the pages to share my screen. So and you stopped seeing my clothes. Nasia was saying that maybe the pages are like overlinked. Was to have all the pages, the four main pages, and also the page for work cross-link, one between the other. But she thinks that maybe sometimes it's too much. Like, for example,
too much. What is too much?
With too much links here, for example, these kind of things, to link, for example, again, once we are in work page, to link again with our approach and things like that. I mean, once we are in our approach, to links 2 times here, for example, with contact and with our governance and with our work. I don't know. Like she was saying that maybe is a little bit confused. I don't know. I think that we need to have all the pages linked one between the other, because I think it's kind of that people can understand that everything is related. Like you can read our approach, and then you can understand, okay, this approach is materializing in this kind of work, or and say we are able to do it because this governance system, for example. But I don't know if maybe it's too much. So just to discuss it here a little bit, I don't know what do you think? If it's okay or.
The only thing, for example, I might object to is, for example, we have this our project title, and then there is our work. I mean, we should just keep the same words. And I think it's a good idea to do all these linkings, because it keeps the person on the website more and kind of makes his own or her own kind of journey within the site. So I don't think it's confusing, because it's at the end of the page. It's not like it starts with it. I mean, you can just skip it.
Okay.
It's good to have these kind of connections, because this is also kind of a storytelling, I could say. So I mean, I think it's better if we keep them.
Yeah, I agree with Julia. It's not confusing for me either.
Okay. Yeah, the only thing with I agree with Nasia and also with you, Julia. You were saying is about the words that we say that we write, because I think is that I mean that is a right to be consistent with the words, and for example here to put also our work, not to.
Yes. We can go through all this stuff if you want. I mean, all of the connected things and so on. Rather than just moving them, work better on the terminology, make them consistent, and let them stay there. That's my proposition.
Okay. I mean, here, for example, we have these three, which I think is okay. Our approach, our personal network, values, governance, and governance. Okay, and then at the end you can find you in the network, which I think is okay. Here in our values is linked with our governance. It's like what we build upon our values, a distributed and open structure, so you can see our governance. Then here, project governance, coordinators, core team participants. Here is linked with our approach again. What we use this open structure for, build up collaboration for territory making. So you can see what we do with this governance or how we approach our work. Here, for example, this text, this paragraph, these are our conception of teamwork, where it is possible to have a very local impact without losing the global character of our new era. And I was thinking here, I put this button. I don't know, what do you think? If it's related, or if we can, for example, this one maybe could be.
Can we make a rule for these extra buttons? If we are going to have any extra buttons, they can only be at the end of the page. Like first, anyone who reads this just reads it to the end, and then we put some extra stuff like you first showed.
How? I don't understand. So to
I mean, if you can you scroll down on this page? Go. See, still we are trying to kind of like this one. Our projects work with us, CivicWise governance. This is at the end of the page, right? Let's have only these like external links, I would say, at the end of the page, like read also.
Okay.
It should look like.
Okay.
Rather than putting things in between, because then Nasia is right, people may get confused.
Okay. So we delete this one?
Yes, for example.
Okay. Okay. So we can go here. And where is it? Oh. Hey, Pinfarius.
Hola. I was just listening.
Okay.
Hi, Jonathan.
Okay.
So I know it's not here. It's our approach. Our approach, edit. Okay. There you go. Okay. And then at the end, we have our work contact and our governance. I also think that maybe this image here on the background is not fit very well with all images. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. I think I would do something better to the general language on the side.
Here we can do two things. We can include an image also with the same graphic than the other ones, or maybe just to have like a general one, just with a black background, something like that, just to have a general thing. I don't know. Maybe
just a black background. You mean?
Yeah, I don't know. Well, right now it's not going to work because I mean, in this kind of situations. So it would be something like this, our work in progress. Okay. Background color here. Title color, no. Okay. And just that. I mean, maybe not to have not to abuse of this kind of images, and to put also one thing here because we have too much text. I don't know. So maybe for this case, I don't know if it will be something like this.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe
not dark gray, but totally black also would work.
Okay.
I don't know.
Right.
I don't know. What do you think?
We can have maybe also something quite solid, like what you did, but maybe a image we can repeat in that kind of section. You know, I mean, maybe we can work it further to have a nice general image we use there, not just a black background. You know?
I can hear you very well, but you mean to have an images like the others, like this one or whatever?
Or maybe something more solid, more like the other graphics, more like an illustration, not illustration, but something more designed instead of an image, something with the circles and this language also there, but maybe more solid, not so white, more like this thing you did, more, I don't know if black or it's something to be studied, but you know.
Yeah. No, I think something like the headers could work.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, then I can propose several things and then you decide if you want.
Okay, I think that's something. Yeah, I agree. I think that something like the headers could work because like I miss the header on the top and you close the with something like similar. So
Okay. Vale.
Okay. So now then, okay, we check our governance already. Then you go to our work, Alfonso.
Yeah, I have a little comment about governance page. I don't know if you see the same I'm seeing now, but the second image, the text is not rendering okay for me because the background of is splitting the text in a weird way. I don't know if no, not this one, but the following one.
This one, but this one doesn't have text.
Which one?
Which one? The second image, the one that is under project governance to open up collaboration header.
Sorry, but right now I'm in our approach. sorry. It's our governance, right?
Yeah.
Sorry. Okay, here?
Yeah, the second image.
Yeah.
The text is not familiar for me. Yeah, that one. For
Which
me,
one?
I have a smaller screen than you, and sentencing. The text is, for example, the second line. Your second line, I see it in 2 lines. So.
Okay. In which word is split?
Always is in a new line, in the second line for me, and it's the same for the 1, 2, 3. The fourth line is have problem also.
I uploaded my screenshot to the Slack.
Okay.
It's easier.
Probably we are having the same problem with Alfonso.
Okay.
Yeah. So maybe.
Okay. Yeah, I can send. This is just to change. Just to change the how the lines are built. So I can change it.
Yeah.
Okay. I can change it later, not to be too much.
Yeah.
So okay.
Yeah, I think it happens every time you make the window smaller. It happens. You know what I mean?
Yeah. In fact, this is a thing that I put here because, for example, I put here the responsive system because when you see the page on a smartphone, it happens like this because the screen is smaller. So. And for that, I don't know how we can solve this because, I mean, I think that right now the problem is that the text style you need to put the highlight in every line.
Yeah.
You have to build the lines, and the lines works differently. Whether it's a bigger screen or whether it's a smartphone or whatever. So I don't know if we could have, because for example we have the same style for the page of Mestura Puerto, and works different because you don't have to build the lines. Alfonso, I don't know if we can have something similar or. You know what I mean? Or
Sorry, I wasn't listening. What were you saying, Pascual?
you can hear me now?
Yeah.
Que I'm going to say in Spanish to say quicker, faster. Que creo que el tema también, o sea, que cuando lo ves en el teléfono móvil, por ejemplo, también pasa lo mismo, que las frases se desajustan y el highlight entonces se ve como en cuadrados más grandes.
Ese es el problema.
Y no sé si el estilo de texto, en lugar de funcionar como funciona ahora, que tienes que ponerlo el código al principio y al final de cada frase, entonces tienes que construir tú la frase, si podría funcionar como funciona en Mestura, que en Mestura, en la página de Mestura, el estilo para hacer un highlight, por ejemplo, en azul o en rojo, lo que sea, se pone al final ya, al principio y al final del párrafo. Y luego ya, independientemente de cómo construya el párrafo la pantalla, donde hace el highlight es en la línea solo.
Okay.
Just the line. They are saying that it happens that this white box in the text is not adapted to every phrase, but it is a bigger rectangle.
Yeah.
Then I think there should be an option, no, because you already did it in Mestura website, Pascual, to adapt the white background to the phrase itself, and not to a bigger format. Because when we
because
sorry, that's what I was saying. If you just try to resize your window, you will see that the text is changing, and also the white box is changing.
Yeah, for that's why, because here, I don't know if you can see it here right now on my screen.
Yeah.
So this is the thing, that to put the highlight, you have to write the code every time in this sentence. So,
wow.
So I think that the good thing to do is to have the code just at the beginning and at the end of the paragraph.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to change that.
Okay. Okay.
And also, maybe we shouldn't have these long texts on images. This I had also said before.
How?
This text, I mean, if we are going to have any texts on images, I think it should be shorter.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then we will have less problems also with the graphics and so on.
Yeah, it's true.
Okay, yeah, I think, yeah, because we were talking about this and then I forgot to try it. But yeah, we were talking to have like the main text outside and the titles on the images.
Yes.
Right, yeah. Okay, anyway, I can try it also that, okay. Okay. Un segundo. Okay. Then, next topic. Well, to close this topic about responsive system. Well, no, nothing. Okay, forget about that. So responsive, I think that we already talked about it. Okay, another thing that Rachel and also Nasia was saying that if we can make the pages Global Country, Factory, and Academy to open in a new tab.
Yeah.
This is an interesting subject because maybe I can be agree with you that in some cases is better if the link opens in a new tab, but if you set the link like this, you cannot do the other way around. I mean, if it's less, it's a little bit less freedom for the user, you know, because you have always the capacity to open the link in a new tab if you click with the central button of the mouse or whatever. It depends on the system you are. But if you set this automatically, you cannot continue in the same tab if you want. So I'm not sure it's a good idea.
Yeah, but for example, the Mestura Porto link opens in a new window. If you
Yeah, for me it's the same. It's the same case.
But for me, in a half. For example, I think that the links that you can find here on the homepage open in a new tab, and mostly is if it's a page of a project. So if another thing, I mean, is outside CivicWise site. So you can see the site of the project, or you can keep going with the site of CivicWise. But I think I agree with this is a different thing with, for example, Global Council, Factory, and Academy, which are fields inside CivicWise site. So I think that for these three cases that we have in the main menu, maybe we can have like a middle option, which is what we already have, for example, in GlobalCam. So you can go to GlobalCam and it's open in the same tab, but you can have here a link for CivicWise, so you can go back again. That is not happening here in the factory and in Academy. So maybe it's just to add here a link of CivicWise on the pages of Academy. And I have doubts, for example, for Civic Factory. I have doubts because Civic Factory, the idea, and Jonathan could say his opinion, the idea of Civic Factory is not to be representative and all these things, so it could be a wider debate. So maybe it's not a good idea to have in the main menu of Civic Factory a CivicWise link. But in this case, I mean, if we can have a link of CivicWise, like a GlobalCam, and we can include this in Academy, I agree to keep it like it is right now, to open GlobalCam or Academy in the same tab. But if in the case of Civic Factory, if we are not going to include a CivicWise link here, then I open Civic Factory in a new tab, like for example in Mestura. Understanding that is another space in which CivicWise is involved, but it's another space with more people inside.
Yeah, super difficult. I don't know if it's. I mean, it's a very wide debate to have with the rest of the people of Civic Factory, blah, 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 which are all indeed and more people.
Yeah, but for that, I will apply to this to the website or to the structure of the website the same way to work that is outside. I mean, Mestura is a project or is a space in which CivicWise is involved, but CivicWise doesn't represent Mestura Puerto, the space of Mestura Puerto, because there's a lot of agents and people and organizations inside. So for me, it makes sense to understand this like a different space.
Yeah.
So like this. So for me, it would be the same for Civic Factory. For me, Civic Factory is another space in which CivicWise is involved, but has a lot of people inside.
Yeah.
So it makes sense to open Civic Factory in a new tab.
Yeah.
But for GlobalCam and Academy, there are specific projects and events and I don't know, and actions that we promote and develop. So it makes sense to open in the same tab.
Yeah, I mean, for me, what you said, it makes a lot of sense. I mean, I agree with what you said because, for example, also if we think about the Civic Innovation School, it's a different project with many agents, and I could understand that, for example, a different network involved in the Civic School or in the factory wouldn't like to have the CivicWise link. But it's a wide debate. I think that maybe for now we could leave it like that, but I don't know. It's something we should decide now. Except for the global camp, but I think it's something that should be debated with the rest. I don't know. What do you think?
For me, it's not so important. So both options are okay for me.
Yeah.
For me, like I said, it would be to open CivicFactory in a new tab and include in Academy a link with for CivicWise.
Agree.
That would be for me the option.
Perfect.
Okay.
Okay. To include the CivicWise link in Academy, I think I can make it. But to open CivicFactory in a new tab,
I can do that.
Okay. Perfect.
Yeah. Another important thing about links in the menu is that every website in the CivicWise network goes with HTTPS protocol. So it's important to add the S to the link.
Okay. Okay. We have last thing here in minor issues, but I would go to talk about the other thing because it's starting to be a little bit late. So and I think it's important to talk about now that Jonathan is here to set the things that branding book has to have, and so he can keep going with them. So
Can we add some templates, for example?
Sorry?
Yeah.
Templates for PowerPoint templates or like Word templates, kind of to, I mean, when you make a contract or something like that, things you can use, or when you make a presentation, things you can use, practical things.
I don't understand very well.
Yeah, I am adding here.
Okay. Okay. Sorry. Okay.
Even business card templates.
Okay.
It can be. Why not?
Yeah, this is a thing that it's curious because I was thinking about this. Then Joanna asked me about this without me saying her anything. Then Bentehui was talking about with me about this. I was talking about this with the business card, with the contact cards, with Domenico, and now you are saying the same. So I think it's a thing that we need to, because I think is very interesting. I think that we should have it, and I think also could be a tool for people understand what does it mean to be inside CivicWise. Because I was thinking that these business cards or contact cards, in which you can see the website of CivicWise and your profile, your personal page if you have it or whatever, could be a thing that you could have inside the CivicWise website in the login system. So you can download the editable and you can build your own contact card once you are inside CivicWise. So it's kind of, and you can print it wherever you are. So I think it's powerful. Like it's like a materialize that you are in the network. and it could be powerful for that. So
yeah, why not? I mean, for example, when you think about the local camp now, they are trying to find some sponsors, etc. I mean, it would be perfect having a business card.
okay. Okay, about graphic image in general, I don't know, Jonathan, if you want to explain briefly the concept or that you
Well, the
work by
thing that
now.
the branding book is something that is not just about the graphics. It's also about the brand strategy and the brand architecture, and it's something that should be also open. For example, we have to write down the mission, and this is something that I think should be made by the community itself. The concept is something that I can work on it and explain it, but it's really closely related to the mission. And we already have described like this the hybridization, the local. It's finally about we can simplify it very much, talking about mixing, no? And this is something that the language tries to I don't know how to say, to recoger, to have
to gather
yeah.
or okay.
¿Qué, Pascual?
To gather, recoger.
Yeah, to gather, yeah. And then, for example, the motto that would be nice, I think, to have a slogan, to have a short phrase that explains just in a phrase what we try to do. No, I think would be nice. That is something that also should be decided collectively. And then the logo, the colors, and how we use them, typography, the kind images we use, and the treatment we give to them. And also related to that, as Julia said, then we will need templates and editable documents to make these images and to also use them in several presentations to make it more editable, basically. But what I mean is that there is still also some collective work that we really need to do before closing that. And I don't know. I don't want to extend it too much now because we don't have too much. But that's it. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't know. I was thinking how to build this collective work around this topic. I don't know if it is to try to open a discourse thread in which we can try to start to work on these things. I mean, you can start to work on this thing, and you can share this work so everyone can share their thoughts. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, what I think is important is, sorry, go ahead.
How can you make this, like, because the idea with the design, so it can be so personal. How will we get the feedbacks? I'm a bit like worried about the process.
Yeah, well, I was talking about that with Jonathan the other day, and I think that the thing here not to make this discussion personal is to focus the discussion about these kind of things. So it's not about graphical discussions. So this should be more red or more blue, but it's about the concept and the language of the strategy of the branding CivicWise. So that's I think that's the focus thing that we need to to have clear, very clear. And right now, for example, for the concept and the language, from what I talked with Jonathan while he was working on it, I mean, the concept is, I think, more or less, I think it's clear. It's like to try to tell that I don't know how to say it, but no sé cómo decir, atrevido.
Risky.
Okay, risky. Could be.
Okay.
So like risky, dynamic, young, fresh, punky. So that's why the colors are too like very no sé cómo
very
decir,
contrasted
fuertes,
and
strong.
yeah, there is a strong contrast, these kind of things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is related to the concept and to some of the first discussions we had. But still, I think there is a point where we have to evolve the concept, but more or less have some things that have been already discussed. We can, I mean, we need to go further now. And for example, the concept, I think we can evolve, change it, but we should not, I don't know how to say, preserve some of the things and ideas that we already discussed before. And but even with that, I think that there are still things that are and that are open, and they will be always open, but we need to close at least for now. And one of them, for example, is we should be able to describe the mission. I mean, what we do, and I think more or less is clear. And this thing with the mode also, and with the language and the concept, again, it's the same thing. No, we already had some sessions, and I made several changes, as you know, because it was even more punky at the beginning, and there were a few things that needed to be improved. But this is the thing. If
For
this
me,
is what you were saying.
there are two ideas that I think are important in this project. I don't know if branding book is the good name for this, or because that I have in mind is not exactly a branding book. For me, is more like a graphic language, like a set of tools, a toolbox
Yeah.
that is not mandatory to use. Is a it's just that it's a group of tools that you can use to express yourself in relation with CivicWise in a graphic, in a visual way. So, like a language, you can find in this toolbox synonyms or different ways to say the same thing. Um, and I think it's all of this is complementary. So, like Pascual was saying, for me, the way to build this is not. I think it's more this than that, but I think it's this besides that. You know, for me, it's like this because I think it's CivicWise this way, because in CivicWise we have many ways of express ourselves, many different ways to express ourselves, and this is the one of the best thing of CivicWise. So I think graphically we have to to do the same way.
Yeah, yeah. I think it should be a support, no? A kind of I don't know if support is the word, como un apoyo, like something that helps you, but not something mandatory.
Exactly. If I have
I
to
agree.
do a presentation of CivicWise, it could be great to have a presentation template, but not just one, 20. So I can choose.
Yeah.
And if for my presentation none of the presentation templates we have fits, I will do a new one. For me, this is the point.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I agree, and this is the challenge. I mean, and I think that the one thing that Alfonso said is linked with one thing that I was discussing the other day also with Jonathan, which is that in that way that is not this or this, but is this beside this. I mean, this toolbox or this graphic toolbox, graphic language, this book which explain this, need to be very clear about this, that we can have some images in our, for example, for the website, because at the end we have to close images for the website. So that doesn't mean that all the images for CivicWise has to be exactly equally like the ones we have in our website. It's just a it's just a representation of that language. But I mean, what you said, which is important, is to have clear the language. Then you can express in another way with the same language. So this book, this graphic language book, needs to be very clear about this.
Yeah.
Totally.
What I think to be effective, I think that what we can do is to, because, for example, right now, this structure that we build here for the book, with the mission, concept, language, motto, logo, colors, typography, and so on, I think is quite good. It's very complete. So I think that what we can do is to start a doc in which we can have this structure and start to work on it. Start to field everything, the mission, the concept, and so we can have something somewhere to work on this. So Jonathan can be the main person to work on that document in the way that he developed the language. But we know that Google Doc is over there, so we can go over there and write down suggestion and comments and whatever.
Yeah. But I don't know if, for example, Pascual, will you be there coordinating the mission thing, for example, or not? Should I do that?
Yeah, it's okay. I mean, we can. Yeah. I can, for example, I can build the Google Doc with the structure. Then just start to work on it, and I can try to push the discussion for the mission, for example. But anyway, I think that for example, the mission, for example, some things here, like the mission or the motto, are things that we already work on it with the contents that we have in our website. So it's just to extract this info and put it here. But I think that we cannot have it.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, that's what I meant before. If there are, for sure that for example, the motto, this slogan, I think it should be open. We can review it and redefine it. Like, I don't know if in every local camp, but I think for now we should close one. No, we should have one. And if we already had this discussion, I would take the one we had. It's good for now. I think. That's what I meant.
Yeah, I agree, but I think this is the good thing, to have the structure and to have the Google Doc. with that info, because we can close the info that, I mean, you can make the book with the info that we have in that Google Doc when we consider that it's closed, but the Google Doc is always open. So even if we have closed a book for the graphic language, anyone can go over the Google Doc and keep working on it or keep adding suggestions, and we have the structure to discuss about it in the next local camps. So, so the important thing is to have clear the structure, and we can discuss about every topic in whatever we want, even if we close a book by now, like as you were saying. So
yeah, okay, yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and also, I mean, if someone else wants to make a new template following the graphic rules in a way, they can just make it. Why not?
yeah.
I lost part of the message.
You do the first, I mean, now we do the first kind of template. I don't know if it's going to be multiplied in time. Someone just does it in time and uploads there as well. So it's kind of an open process where you just start with one and then it just grows bigger and bigger, and yeah. So there is not just one, but there are many. But it doesn't happen at once. It's just like it's a process, I think.
Yeah, I think I also see it like that. I think I can create something according to according to what we already discussed, and then I think it's good that it's open. Maybe we can again to review it every, I don't know, what to see if we can improve things or if we can add something. But yeah, a process.
Yeah, I think it would work.
Okay, perfect. Okay, I will build the Google Doc with this structure and launch it for Slack and everything. Okay. The other thing that we have left here in minor things, Alfonso, is the thing that Nico said about the feature images that every page has. So when you share the page, statement, I don't know if you can change that or not.
Yeah, it's possible to change that. Not only the image, but the title, the text, the description. I mean, you can change everything.
Okay.
So we have two choices here. We can change that in the code to generate it automatically, or we can do that with a plugin. So we need to generate every page, every content manually. The second way is better in terms of quality, but it's with time. So maybe I don't know if someone is doing that. We can do it manually. If not, I can code it and generate the images and those content automatically. I don't know what you think.
I think, I mean, if it's a matter of time, I think that regarding that we're working in progress all the time, so we don't have, I mean, once we already have the beta version, we don't have to rush. So I would choose the second option, and I can do those changes manually on every page when I can. The only doubt is to find the plugin and to install the plugin.
I can do that.
if you can install the plugin, I can make the changes in every page.
Okay.
Perfect. I'm going to write here on the meeting minutes just to close the session. Some tasks. Graphic language look. Okay. Change highlight style. Look like Nestura. I put here. Install plugin. Okay. I don't know if I'm forgetting something. Yes.
Keep the text short on the images.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. Okay. Something else?
No, nothing so.
I don't know.
Okay.
Well, if we ended up with this topic, I would just like to say something related to communication.
Okay.
But did we end it or did we finish?
Yeah.
Okay, just super quick. Yeah? But is this thing I wrote it in Slack that just talking to some people, it's easy to discover that there are many things happening in CivicWise, and I think they are great. But since the network is becoming bigger and there are every time more things happening, it's really easy to lose the perspective of what is happening. Very nice to be able to make it more visible, and I think the website is, of course, the one of the best or the best tool to do that. But I think we can do some other things in between. I mean, for example, now, and I was thinking that, well, there are two things. One of the things is this, no, is that there are many things happening, and we cannot have a wide perspective of it if we do not improve the communication between the circles, peoples, and people and projects. This is one thing, and the other thing, and the other thing is that I think that there are some dynamics that we could improve as a community to work more as a real distributed and connected community, no? To be more, more connected indeed, and to solve few things about governance and this kind of stuff. Then these are the two very important things I think we have to improve. But I think, I don't know, what do you think about that? I think it's better to start from the first point. I mean, if we create a hangout to start discussing what is not working, I think is not very constructive. I think would be better to start, for example, with a campaign on social networks to, for example, make visible what the different people and different circles are doing. What do you think about that?
Well, I think that there's two things. In a long-term view, I think that in this case, the idea is that the website helps a lot in that situation. And this, I mean, to understand the website like an internal tool for a CivicWiser, so you can find everything. It's not just a website in which you can find what CivicWise does, but it's also a website for us. I mean, to work with the website to understand what is happening in the network. So you can see projects, also projects in progress. So you can know what is everything. So in a short term, I like the idea to have this kind of hangouts. But as you basically said, I think that it's not good to have these hangouts to discuss specifically about this. Imagine it's a hangout more, I don't know how to say, more ludic. So I was thinking something like Think Commons, but an internal Think Commons. It's like maybe a monthly session in which someone, whoever wants, inside CivicWise, can, for example, present a project which he or the circle is developing. So I don't know, we can have imagine next Think Commons at the beginning of the year, and then Artemio Mendejuy can present the Mestura, and you can present the Salsa in Castellón, and in Paris can present Art de Innovación or whatever. So for me, would be something more like that. Just to have another tool. This Hangout would be like an internal tool, indeed, and a space to share what we are doing, to debate about that, and to know what is happening inside the network, and so on. So it could be like complementary. And there's another thing about that I remember right now, that you said this thing about the campaign on social media, that Mendejuy had an idea that I think is really good, because he was saying that, for example, for arquitecturas colectivas, el evento de arquitecturas colectivas, that happened in Canary Island some months ago, that event, they have like a Twitter thread in which you can follow what is happening in the event every time. So 24 hours you can see, because all the people are tweeting. So I was thinking that we can launch like a common hashtag. So it could be news, for example. So when someone inside the network is tweeting something that is happening in his or her city, is an event, is a meeting, is whatever, and he or she wants to have this in that thread, just use this hashtag, Civic News, and then to build inside the CivicWise, we can, because I think, Alfonso, I don't know if I'm wrong, but I think that in the same way that we can have, for example, these kind of things here with the tweets by an account, we can have also the tweets that use a common hashtag.
Right.
So I imagine this, not this small, but like a page who we can call Civic News, and you can have here in the middle of the page all the tweets one after another, and so you can see what is happening all around the network in a very fast and quick way, so an easy way.
And in this sense, I wanted to add something. I was just talking to the guys here, and I had an idea to this. I also thought about a hashtag to start with this campaign to launch this kind of in common. Really like this idea, and then the campaign would be to make visible what is already happening and to launch this internal thing. And I really liked a lot this hashtag that I don't know if Alfonso was the culpable, the one who had the idea about this. What the fuck is CivicWise? And I was proposing, I don't know if it's a good idea or bad, but to continue with this kind of thing we have sometimes in CivicWise, I don't find the word. Maybe we could use the hashtag what the fuck is going on in the spread, and after that the C and the V, you know? It's an idea, but we could launch something like that. What do you think?
Yeah, but I think still, if this thing with the project work well, we can even have this newsletter thing we discussed earlier, like 2 hangouts ago or something like that. Because I mean, it's always good to have the feed, but also it's also good to have an edited version of what is going on actually. So we should have both in the long time. But for now, I think if first we need to see how the network is going to react to this, like uploading the project and so on. If it goes well, I think we can start having, we can start discussing the newsletter. But we can also have this tweet feed as well.
For me, this kind of campaign or this kind of thing should be not just what are you doing, no, what are we doing about from CivicWise, but also we could ask, for example, to explain in a video in less than a minute, like that, what are you doing and what do you expect from CivicWise, and what do you bring, what could you bring to CivicWise? I don't know, it's something that we discussed. Okay. You know, to make a debate more interesting. I don't know.
Profile videos.
Yeah, something like that. But super quick, you know, like less than a minute or even less.
Well, I think that we can, I mean, that is, like I said at the beginning, is 2 different things. First of all, the work that we are doing for the website, and like Julia said, is going to improve this, but in parallel with that, we can launch these kind of things and see how the network or the community respond. Okay. I mean, that we can launch this Twitter campaign for Slack and see how people reply to this. And
yeah, then if it's okay, I can launch it on Slack on our group of communication, and then we see how people react.
Okay.
And then we discuss it on there. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, I gotta go, guys.
Yeah, me too.
Okay, me too. Thank you. See you.
Okay, guys. Bye.
Bye.